This is going to be the big storyline going into this one, Dan, between the number one quarterback or the number one pick in the NFL draft and Caleb Williams going up against Drake Maye, of course, the number 3 pick in the NFL draft. What has Drake Maye been saying about going up against Caleb Williams in this game?
Both of them said that they've been friends since high school, so they know each other quite well. They went to 11 quarterback camps together, so they've known each other since then. They've known each other all through college. They kept in touch. Drake was saying that yesterday. He, of course, crossed the country with North Carolina and Caleb Williams at USC, but they've been friends for quite a while. So that's about 8 to 10 years now. And I think they're excited. And I think they both think the opposition is quite good. Both quarterback is quite good. And I think it's going to be fun. And I think from a long-term perspective, Joe, I think it's pretty cool to see what we've seen from this rookie class of quarterbacks, right? I think you look at the top pick, and that was Caleb Williams from USC, a consensus number 1. He's been good. He hasn't been spectacular. He's struggled at times like you would expect, but he's put up decent numbers. And then number 2 is Jaden Daniels, who is a franchise-type quarterback already with what he's done with the Commanders. He's actually in the talk for MVP, like true MVP value of a player towards his team. He's been that good for that team. And then you have Drake Maye, who's come along slowly, but now he's kind of ramped it up and looks every bit the role of you thought he might be as one of the top 3 quarterbacks coming out of the draft. And then you go down a little bit and you've got Bo Nix, who certainly has been quite good so far for the Denver Broncos, and Michael Penix, who hasn't even played yet because Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta. I think Michael Penix is 1 for 1 so far as a quarterback in the NFL. So 5 good, legit quarterbacks coming in this class, and you hope that long-term we look back on this one day and say, wow, what a great QB class 2024 was.
Yeah, there's a good chance that every team that did draft a quarterback high could be very happy in the end. And as for the Patriots, Drake Maye, what's the focus for him going into this matchup against the Bears?
I think he said yesterday here, right behind me, turnovers. Wants to, stop with the turnovers. The fumble, he's, he got stripped, and we've seen that. We saw the interceptions. We saw the interception in overtime. I think his biggest thing is committing, fewer turnovers. But it's kind of like that risk-reward type of thing with him. You don't want him to change that mentality of going out and try to make plays. But at the same time, just learn from what you do and think a little bit more before you throw maybe, and keep an eye on the pocket. It's all stuff that comes with experience and learning, I think. But yeah, that's his biggest thing is that, and maybe make some quicker decisions, some quicker reads. But again, that comes with experience and being in a game and being able to read defenses, pre-read defenses before you step to the line of scrimmage, things like that. So I think that's a pretty good thing for him, and I think it's been pretty good so far for this Patriots team, despite the loss on Sunday in Tennessee.
Yeah, there was some good and some stuff to improve upon in that game against Tennessee. 206 passing yards. He threw for a touchdown, but 2 interceptions and, of course, a fumble as well. But he was able to run it on the ground pretty efficiently. Dan, I want to go back to that last play of regulation for the Patriots, where Drake Maye was able to buy a ton of time before ultimately delivering a touchdown pass to Ramondre Stevenson. What impressed you most about that play, and have the other players in the locker room been talking about that play?
Yeah, and I think what's impressed them the most is, well, his athletic ability just shot through the television if you were watching the game, right? Because anybody who can keep that ball for that amount of time, and it was the second longest to only Jaden Daniels waiting to throw that Hail Mary pass that won him a football game a couple of weeks ago. It was 12 seconds of just running around the pocket trying to keep the play alive until somebody got open. And I think on the flip side of that, the funny part was the players were saying that they have to learn to adapt to that athletic ability. For instance, Hunter Henry, he got kind of knocked out of bounds in the back of the end zone. And it was funny because these guys haven't played together for long. And, Hunter was trying to tell Drake that he wasn't in the play anymore. So he's kind of going like this with his hands. And Drake's like, does it mean he wants the ball? Does it mean he's open? So that was funny. And then Kendrick Bourne said he's got to learn to never let the play stop. He said it was probably the longest ever he's run on a single play in his life. But even a veteran, he said, I stopped a couple times and just almost watched. And I should have been trying to find a place like Ramondre Stevenson was. They pointed to the fact that Stevenson never stopped. He kept going around, moving back, forward in that end zone until he got open enough where Drake threw him the football and completed the the touchdown. But I think that was the fascinating thing to me, is learning to adapt to each other, and maybe the compliment of just no play is over with a guy like Drake Maye. So they learned that going forward. Even Vidarian Lowe said, we were just standing there, the offensive tackle. And I didn't want to be that guy that let pressure get through me to him to end that play. That was kind of how they feel. So I think it's a learning process for everybody. But I also think that they really appreciate what they're seeing in Drake Maye. And they all know, Joe, that this kid is a difference maker. And again, I'll say this 1,000 times this season. That is the most important thing this year for this Patriots team, is to make sure Drake Maye develops as a rookie quarterback. First and foremost, above winning, above everything else.
And we'll see if they can rack up at least a couple more W's before the end of the season. But yeah, that last play was so compelling to watch, and to see him be able to create enough time for himself to ultimately get it to Ramondre Stevenson to tie that game. Of course, the Pats do end up losing on a Drake Maye interception, but nonetheless, it was an incredible play. And you certainly see the promise there with Drake Maye. Now, Dan, the trade deadline has come and gone, and the wide receiver room for the Patriots has not changed. And now that we're past the deadline, how have KJ Osborne and Kendrick Bourne, two players that we thought maybe could have been moved, how have they been taking the news of still being here?
Well, I think they just look at it as, it didn't happen. So now they give everything they have to the New England Patriots and trying to get this team better, trying to get Drake Maye better, and trying to help them win, whatever that takes. Now, maybe down the road, KJ Osborne is maybe released so that he can hook on with another team, a playoff contender. They might do that as a courtesy to him. But I think it just kind of says that the value out there wasn't what the Patriots were looking for. Maybe they weren't offered much at all. So now you have a crowded room, and you just try to make the best of it from week to week, and whoever plays. And, I think the guys like Osborne and Bourne are professional enough to teach Javon Baker, to teach Jalen Polk about the game, and on a weekly basis, watch out for this, do that, and everything else to try to get them better too. I think Bourne is here for the long haul, but KJ Osborne, I'm sure he'll do the same. I think he wants to play. It's a competitor in him. I thought coming into the season, he thought he could be one of the top receivers. It just hasn't worked out that way, the way things have gone. But I think they're both professional enough to say, hey, we understand what's going on here, and they'll do their best every single week.
And now the Patriots, they are in pole position for the #1 pick. There are 7 teams right now in the NFL that are 2-7, but the Patriots are in position for that #1 pick because of the strength of schedule. And Dan, you know this, there are going to be fans out there saying, hey, okay right now because it's going to help us in the draft. But what do you say to the fans who may think that way specifically?
Well, I will go back to what I said just a few minutes ago, Joe. So here, the most important thing is the development of your #3 pick overall as quarterback of the New England Patriots. And along the way, there's going to be bumps and bruises and ups and downs, as we saw in the Tennessee game, right? So I think you go into every single game with a theory of winning, because I think winning can help you. Winning can help you teach. It can help you have a better attitude. It can help you down the road on what it takes to win. So to me, it's the ultimate thing. When you step on that football field on Sunday, you do everything you can to help your team win. Now, I've had thousands of Patriots fans, it seems like this year, say to me, hey, I just want to see Drake play well. I want to see them stay in the game, and if they lose, they lose. They have a better draft position. And I think that's how the majority of people look at it. But I guarantee you here in the building, they don't look at it that way. They look at it as we want to win. I'll give you an example. Coming off the field, Tennessee game last week, Elliott Wolf, the general manager, came around the corner, and he just screamed loud in frustration of not being out that football game. And he was pretty animated, from what I understand, on the sidelines towards the end of that game. They're all in this to win, Joe, because the NFL is about winning. And if you could say, well, if they don't win games, they'll get a higher draft pick. But go tell that to the players, tell that to the administration, tell that to the coaches who all want to be here, who all want to make a living. If they don't win, they're gone, right? Eventually, if you don't win, you're gone. And I think that's how they look every single week.
Right. These are competitive guys. That's why they're a part of an NFL team, because of their competitiveness, and the losing has to ultimately wear on them as the season goes along. Dan, can you remember it being this warm this late into the NFL season? I mean, I think it's crazy that it's this warm here in early November.
Yeah, it was nice in Nashville. It was nice when he got here back home. So yeah, it's like it's been crazy. Yeah, so it's to me, I'll take it all day long. You know, as I get older, Joe, the less snow, the less wind and everything else, the happier I am. So it keeps the golf season alive for a little longer, too. But, yes, I don't mind this weather. I'll take it. And, you know, give me snow on Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then I'm good for the year.
Well, you're important to us, Dan. So as you age here with the company, we need you to be in prime condition, all right?
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for the time, as always, Dan.
Good to talk to you.
All right, tomorrow on All Access, our sports director, Steve Burton, goes one-on-one with Ramondre Stevenson, and Drake Maye is in the Players Spotlight. That's at 7 o'clock Friday on WBZ. And then start your Sunday with Patriots Game Day here on WBZ and streaming on CBS. Boston. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock at Soldier Field in Chicago, and the fifth quarter is on TV 38 right after the game.